On the eagerly awaited season 13 debut of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the long simmering tension between Rasheeda Frost and Jasmine finally erupted in a spectacular clash after years of waiting. Rasheeda concluded she had had enough of handling things herself after this episode, which marked a turning point in her life. Much of the drama on the program has been around the relationship between Rasheeda and her husband, Kirk Frost, and Jasmine's presence was the catalyst for this, adding gasoline to an already raging fire. And dealing with Jasmine in an unexpected way. Jasmine's part in Rasheeda and Kirk's marriage has been a recurring point of contention in the series. She was notorious for trying to get back together with Kirk, and she persisted in pushing boundaries in spite of the damage she had previously done to their marriage. Even though Jasmine's previous attempts to have sex with Kirk had already produced a lot of conflict, she was back at it again at the start of season 13. Jasmine's inability to let go of Kirk made her more than just an annoyance. As much as Rasheeda wanted to avoid conflict, Jasmine's persistent disrespect became too much for her to ignore. Rasheeda had always tried to follow the high road, to remain focused on her businesses, her children, and her marriage. She had weathered many storms and, for the most part, handled everything with grace. Everything Rasheeda had fought so hard to create was in jeopardy because of her actions. Rasheeda eventually realized she had to face the problem head-on and wasn't going to stand by and watch as Jasmine tried to ruin everything she had fought so hard to achieve when her patience with this continuing drama finally ran out. Even though Rasheeda had always been a tough and resilient woman, she had her breaking point, and the episode made it plain that she wasn't going to back down anytime soon. This is why Rasheeda didn't take her decision to confront Jasmine lightly. When I confronted Jasmine, the period of silence came to an end. Rasheeda and Jasmine's argument was nothing short of explosive. Tension was immediately apparent when the two women faced one another. This was an emotional conflict that had been growing for years, not just a dispute or minor fight. Jasmine had been causing turmoil for years, but Rasheeda was determined to take control of her story and stop it. After attempting to maintain her composure, Rasheeda was now letting all of her anger out.
So the agreement was that you get canon the third weekend every month. Do you do that?
No, we can really agree to that because the last
signed on paper. This is what I just want to say. It's not exactly the thing. So I get that now. I'll never, ever have to question or worry about is that boy getting the love and the same treatment as all the other kids when he's around. Always been concerned, and I've always loved him since the first day I heard from you. You don't have to hear from me because Canon knows what's up. That's all that matters. It's a little weird now, but you know. Now all of a sudden, I always been there since I decided to forgive him. If I forgave him, I gotta take everything that comes with it, and that's it. Y'all figure some out so we can.
She had become tired of Jasmine's disrespectful behavior, her attempts to undermine her connection with Kirk, and the way Jasmine had continuously destroyed her marriage. When Rasheeda criticized Jasmine for her persistent attempts to ruin her family and made it plain that she would not tolerate it any longer, she didn't mince words. Jasmine tried desperately to defend her actions, but Rasheeda wouldn't have it. Justifications were out of the question at that moment since her statements were so forceful and incisive that there was no space for dispute. Rasheeda had had enough of Jasmine getting away with it. Emotions were running high, and both women were trading angry words as the dispute quickly heated up. But it soon became apparent that this was about more than simply the drama between them. Rasheeda had been attempting to maintain order and rise above the mayhem for years, but this time she wasn't going to let anyone, not even Jasmine, control the situation. Kirk was no longer the only target of this type of manipulative behavior. Rasheeda now wanted to take back control of her life and show Jasmine that she couldn't keep upsetting her tranquility. As the heated argument continued, Rasheeda grew increasingly determined. Not only was she protecting her marriage, but she was also protecting herself. Jasmine wasn't going to take away the years of work she had put into her family, her career, and her personal growth. For the first time in a long time, Rasheeda was claiming her identity as a woman who wouldn't allow anyone to walk over her, and the altercation wasn't simply about protecting Kirk or their marriage. Rasheeda didn't hesitate to advocate for herself. It became clear at the end of the confrontation that Rasheeda had prevailed. She had finally taken charge of her story and shown Jasmine that she could not destroy Rasheeda's family no matter how hard she tried. This was definitely a turning moment in the drama between Rasheeda and Jasmine, even though it might not have been the end of it. Rasheeda had shown that she wouldn't let anyone, not even Jasmine, stop the tranquility she had seized the situation by regaining her honor and power, and Rasheeda showed the world how strong, resilient, and unrepentant she is right then. Fans wondered what would happen to Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine as the episode came to a close, but one thing was certain: Rasheeda had shown that she wouldn't let anyone, no matter how cruel or crafty, take anything away from her. She seized control of her priorities, and the message was unmistakable. You had best be prepared for a fight if you mess with Rasheeda Frost.
No.
I did, so I'm not.
So the agreement was that you get canon the third weekend of every month. Do you do that?
No, we can really agree to that because the last.
It's signed on paper. This is what I just said. It's not gonna ever be exactly what you think. But I get that. Ever have to question or worry about is that boy getting the love and the same treatment all the other kids when he's around. Always been concerned. And I've always loved him since the first day I heard from you. You don't have to hear from me because Cannon knows what's up. That's all that matters. Understand why it's a little weird now, but you know it's not weird. So it's now all of a sudden. I decided to forgive him. If I forgave him, I got to take everything that comes with it, and that's Cannon. Y'all figure some shit out so we can.
Becomes worse, Kirk has been trying to play the victim rather than simply admitting that he made a mistake again. He has been telling anyone who will listen that he has been unhappy in his marriage for a long time and that his affair with Jasmine was a way for him to get away from the issues he was having with Rasheeda at home. He left Rasheeda a few days later, and insiders claim he even sought advice from his legal team on how to proceed with the divorce. In my opinion, Rasheeda has permitted Kirk to be mistreated by opting to stay rather than leave, but in an interview with Essence, she made it clear to Kirk that she was not going anywhere and publicly declared her commitment to supporting her family. Since many women haven't been in a relationship for 5 minutes, let alone 20, people who talk about that a lot couldn't be in my shoes. Since it's my life at the end of the day, and I never let other people's opinions affect me in any way, you can't discuss the decisions I make. I just pray, and while I'm not here to give you advice, please don't follow or comment on my Instagram if you don't like it. He has completely changed his ways, which is one of the reasons our marriage has endured. Kirk had to be admitted to the hospital before realizing how much he needed Rasheeda back in his life, and it wasn't easy for me during that very dark period. Nevertheless, Jasmine has been telling everyone that she is upset with Kirk's decision to have Rasheeda by his side. Jasmine is devastated by Kirk's plea to bring Rasheeda back, but as they say, you lose them the way you acquire them. Keep in mind that this is Kirk, and he is skilled at controlling both Jasmine and Rasheeda. According to insiders, Kirk had already talked about getting married to Jasmine after his divorce from Rasheeda was finalized. I hope Kirk gets well soon. We're hoping that Kirk will agree to his request for Rasheeda to travel with him because it's clear that things between Jasmine and Rasheeda are going to get much worse. It has been said by fans that they don't understand why Jasmine keeps throwing rocks and hiding her hands after the doctor told him that he might not make it. There are consequences when a married man has a child. One consequence of expecting a married man to take responsibility for something he was allowed to do, as Jasmine knew, was that Rasheeda is capable of much more. If Kirk dies, she will have to live without him. After the girl kicked the dead weight to the curb, you don't need that unpleasant man to ruin your fun. You're too beautiful to be brought down, so love yourself and let go of Kirk. Kindly leave your comments in the space provided below. When Kirk is sober, he is with Rasheeda. When he is drunk, he is with Jasmine. Do you think Rasheeda has no business being at the hospital with Kirk since he opted to be with Jasmine rather than her, Or do you think she should forgive him for everything he did to her and stay by his side?